The principles of editing. In camera editing, this is when you shoot the scenes of the film or video you are doing in the sequence in order of the way that you want it to be shown in the complete video. There are no computers, softwares and cables when using this technique, just you and a camera. This was used mainly before technology evolved, now making it easier for filmmakers to edit their films after they film their footage. Following the action. In some movies, mainly action movies, there's a technique that can be used by filmmakers to really bring in the viewers and action of that movie. Like for example, if a movie has a car chase in the scene and tracking shots are used, and maybe some other shots like pan, etc., in a really fast-paced way, jumping in and out of cars. Multiple points of view. This is when a scene is happening in a movie containing numerous different characters by showing you what is happening to one character, then showing you what is happening to another character in that same situation. They do this by cutting to each character to show you that character's reaction. Shot variation. This is when multiple shots are used. Like for example, a long shot showing you a full picture of the object or subject of the video, showing you what it's like if it's a person, you will have that person full, etc. You will also have a medium shot focusing on that subject and less of the background and surrounding. You will also have the close-up, and this is a really powerful shot because it shows you the subject filling up the screen. If it's like a person, you'll see their face expressions. Manipulation of time and space. This is when you edit to make it look like something is moving in time or changing over time. Like for example, a fast-forwarded footage of a fresh slice of bread later than expiring in the same spot. This shows the viewer that something is changing in the footage, and they usually would gather on what's going on. Development of editing principles, early years. In camera editing, this technique was first used before people could edit their footage. So they had to film the scenes they wanted in the complete footage, as there was no editing. It was actually being edited as the film took place. This technique was first created by Lumiere brothers and came as shock to the viewers as they have never seen something like that before. This technique was really powerful in showing the viewers that the camera was used to film in order of what everything was going to be shown. Following the action. This technique was brought out by D.W. Griffith. Using films like The Girl and Her Trust in 1912, this film shows the viewers a technique by cutting back and forth from the thief who stole some drugs and running away in a car to the main character who's trying to get him by using a train. By using this technique, he creates suspense and tension for the audience, making the film more intriguing and attracting. He also shortens the lengths of each shot and makes it faster, making it more entertaining for viewers. Edwin S. Poe, who also another filmmaker, created one of the most famous films, The Great Train Robbery. This film became a milestone in filmmaking. He used the film had a great storyline, a good camera work, and amazing climax. He used a point of view shot when a man was aiming a gun at another man. This was really effective technique, as you can see the character's perspective from the character's eyes. Edwin S. Poe also created the idea that in films people would be doing the casual day-to-day activities like catching a train or walking down the pavement, etc. Hitchcock, born 1899, is also another iconic filmmaker. He brought out the idea of having cuts in your film and how that would make it better in the long run. He chose to believe that cuts were more effective and entertaining than films that didn't have cuts. He also released the movie Psycho in 1960 that used a montage technique in a very effective way, showing you the victim's eyes, bath hole, and the stabbing from the point of view of that girl. This scene came to become one of the most famous scenes. Montage is when you use a variety of numerous shots that are juxtaposed in a quick, fast-paced way that slows down time in the actual footage. This technique normally exposes a lot of information for the viewers in a short period. Odessa steps. First brought out by Eisenstein, he thought that this technique would really make a big impact on an audience because of the tension that is produced. Eisenstein showed this technique in his best demonstration in the movie Battleship Potemkin, where he showed the scene of a baby getting pushed down the stairs in its pram and slowly moving down the steps, and moving from a shot to shot of people's reaction and also guns getting fired. It keeps coming back and forth from the baby, the reactions, and people running, which makes it feel longer than the actual situation is. Development of editing principles of modern era. Following action. In some movies, mainly action movies, there's a technique that can be used by filmmakers to really bring in the views of that movie. Like for example, in the James Bond movie Quantum of Solace, where the opening scene shows a car chase showing the good guy James Bond with a silver car while the other bad guys have a black car, showing the audience who is the good and the bad by showing you the good guy's car standing out from the rest, which is a silver car. This is shown using different shot techniques and following the action using tracking shots from behind James Bond's car. Multiple points of view. Like in Iron Man 1, the end fight between the good and the bad guys, there is a huge explosion and you see the reactions of both characters in that situation. Manipulation of time and space. A good example of this is the Harry Potter scene, where it shows the viewers that the characters are actually moving in time as the background and everything else moves quickly behind them. Shot variation. A good example of this movie technique was using Matrix in the scene where the main character is dodging bullets. The camera goes around the character from a wide shot to a medium, then to a close-up, showing you the character's surroundings and how far the bullet is and to where the bullet just missed on his body. In-camera editing. To this day, in-camera editing is not used as much as it was back in the early days, as now we have technology advancing like computers, giving you much time to edit your work, etc. However, there are many ways you can still use camera editing to portray a technique that would look or make it easy for you to do without edit. Like, for example, one of my fellow students in my class used an in-camera edit when filming for our assignment, making it look really good and using his time in advance to portray that technique. Development of editing technology. Development of editing technology has changed drastically over the past 100 years. Technology didn't really develop until around the 70s when they released some video equipment like TBC and DVEU. They usually ran using analog but then composed the video, digitalizing it, making it easy to enhance or correct video signal. As time went on, they moved from tape editing to tapeless editing, which is cameras that don't run on tapes but more on computers, exporting your videos from the camera onto the computer. Soon later in the 90s, a computer came out that gave you the opportunity for non-linear editing. This changed the editing world forever as it made it a lot simpler to edit videos. However, non-linear editing was not liked by everyone, as some editors didn't really like the idea of editing all your work on a computer and would much rather edit physically. Editing software has made it really easy to edit all your footage on a computer, which is less hassle than analog editing. The principles of editing. A POV shot used by Edwin S. Porter is a very effective technique where you see the point of view from the character's eyes, so you're getting the view from as I said before, from the subject's perspective. It is a good technique to make the viewers more intrigued and more engaged with the film. A good example of this movie is Cloverfield, as the whole movie is filmed mainly in point of view shot. This makes it feel like you're in the movie yourself and brings up the tension and excitement. Shot reverse. This technique is a shot looking back and forth of two characters having a conversation. Like, for example, if two characters are talking to each other, there could be over-the-shoulder shots of each while it cuts back and forth between them. This gives you the reaction of both their faces as they talk to each other, showing the viewers the conversation that takes place. A good example is these two characters over here, as you can see their reactions to each other as they talk. Providing and withholding information. This technique is when you give the narrative more of a dramatic appeal. You can do this by giving the audience more information about what is going on or even taking away information. Like, a good example of this is the new movie Focus. There's a scene where you think Will Smith, the main character, is gambling all away his money and makes the audience think that that's what he's doing. But then it later shows that was part of his plan, and all along that we were put in the same boat as the character Will Smith was tricking in the movie. Edit rhythm. This technique was when editors keep up the pace of the scene in a film by either making it really cut really fast to give it that fast, energetic, lively feel, or making it cut slow, giving it that really calm, romantic, or sad feel. Like, for example, an action scene from Quantum of Solace would have a very chaotic scene where there would be gunfights. The film would be cutting from different shots of them fighting, making the viewers feel more entertained and intrigued with the scene, attracting the eyes. But then a scene from a romantic movie, for example, would give you a very slow and calm edit when it comes to the characters kissing, etc. Cross-cutting. This technique is when a film or video keeps cutting to different shots of different things that could happen at the same time, showing you shots of different subjects and them in that situation. This technique is similar to multiple points of view. A good example of this would be the film Battleship Potemkin, directed by Eisenstein, where it shows you shot of the baby falling down the steps, then shots of people's reaction, and also the shots of the gun firing, all going back and forth between these scenes. And last but not least, cutting to the soundtrack. This technique is when the editors edit a scene in the film, linking it with the pace of the soundtrack. An editor could use the sound to edit his work with the pace of the soundtrack, making a film more appealing to the viewers, giving it a bit of enjoyment in the scene. Like, for example, if the soundtrack is fast-paced, the scene would be cut into 1 to 2 seconds, with a drop of the same beat from the soundtrack. This technique is also used heavily in music videos, giving the video more emphasis. A good example would be Kanye West's Stronger. As the beat is fast-paced, the video is as well, using the drum beat as a guide.